Welcome to Markets Today. I'm your host, Mbithe Mwema. It is the second day of trading on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. We will be giving you a recap of what happened yesterday on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Today, we will widen our frame of assessment and also look at global equities and global asset classes to get a sense of what was happening there. But for now, let's take a look at what was happening on the NSE. Turnover was slightly lower compared to the previous day. You can see the indices there. NSE All Share was down over the day to close at 157.05 points over the day. NSE 20 Share and NSE All Share all closed up over the day on negligible points, with the NSE 20 Share slightly up over the day to 1879.7 points. The NSE All Share Index was also slightly up over the day, as has been shown on the parameters that you have just seen on your screen. It closed up 17.33 percentage points to 3,494 points over the day. Let's take a look at what was happening to turnover over the day, which was slightly below what we did see on Friday. We have our charts up there for you, just showing you what was happening there. Turnover was actually down 29 percentage points comparing to the previous trading session, with turnover closing at 211 million over the day. What was interesting was the fact that the foreign investors were net sellers on a considerable margin compared to last week. 75% of the activity by the foreigners was largely in sales. This translated to a lower price point for Safaricom, which is now trading at 35.95, having hit a new year high last week of 37.2 shillings. Let's take a look at who were the top movers by virtue of volume over the day. We have the charts coming up to you anytime now. Okay, as we are waiting for those charts, Safaricom was certainly the top trade for the day at a price of 35.95 over the day. KCB Group gained a little bit, closing at 37.45 shillings with a volume of 1.4 million trading over the day. Let's take a look who were the price movers and who are the price gainers, and also what was the movement by virtue of volume. Again, we await the charts which are coming up on your screen. Safaricom, 2.5 million shares traded. KCB, 1.4 million shares traded. APSA saw a bit of volume there, 511.7 thousand shares traded over the day. Centum, which also saw a bit of a trade upside in terms of the price, was one of the top gainers yesterday, trading 503.9 thousand, whereas Nation Media saw a bit of improvement in terms of volume with 349.6 thousand shares traded. Let's take a look at what was happening on price movement, top gainers and top losers over the day. Stanbic Bank was one of the top gainers for the day, up 9.75 percentage points to close at 87.25 shillings per share. Granted, it was the top gainer for the day. However, it was up on negligible volume as 400 shares were traded over the day. We did see the utilities, Umeme and Kenya Power, recoup prior period losses over the day, Sasini as well as Kengen, which closed up 3 percentage points to 5.04 shillings per share. Let's take a look at who the top losers for the day were. Housing Finance was a top in class over the day, losing ground down 8.56 percentage points to 3.31 shillings per share. You have the list of also the top losers over the day, and that's largely the small caps that were on a downward decline over the day. That's pretty much what was happening on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. We have another interesting chart that's just touching on what was happening in global assets. The key news on global assets was Bitcoin, which gained another 15% over the day. What is happening with the Bitcoin? Last week, Elon Musk, who's the chief executive officer of Tesla, came out and said that he saw some positive read-throughs on Bitcoin, and only yesterday did he mention that his company, Tesla, had invested $1.5 billion in Bitcoin. Following his pronouncements last week, the Bitcoin was actually up 15%, and following the disclosures by his company of the 1.5 billion purchase, so the price tick up 15%, and it was trading between the $44,000 and $45,000 mark per unit. There are various ways that you can invest in Bitcoin, either by holding the actual coin or being able to trade options or variants of this coin on different trading platforms. This has been the key conversation today, where investors are looking at US companies, US companies that have additional cash flows on their balance sheets are choosing to actually invest in Bitcoin. The question then becomes, is this an efficient way of allocating capital? In other words, when Tesla invests $1.5 billion in Bitcoin, is it saying that it's better, or it's seeing better value in Bitcoin more than it could see in terms of its corporations? Well, keep it here. That's a discourse that we'll continue to have, and we will culminate in this conversation by the end of the week on the Ask Mbithe segment in terms of touching on Bitcoin, how to trade it, and what it is, its value proposition, so to speak. That's pretty much a roundup of markets, both local and global. We take a break. When we come back, we will be joined by Mr. Churchill Ogutu, who is the head of research at Gen Africa, rather at Gen Capital. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Let me start afresh. We will be joined by Mr. Churchill Ogutu, who is the head of research at Genghis Capital. He will be talking to us about the budget policy statement, which was released last week, and we expect a final release from Treasury this week. We will be looking at the revenue outlook and the expenditure outlook for the government of Kenya and the read-through in terms of the operations and the investments in Kenya. See you after the break.